In order to forge the amulet, you need to make your way to the Reachwater Rock, which is south of Skyhaven Temple. The cave is behind a waterfall, so look for that. On your way up, you will find a dead Nord, the Emerald Dragon Claw, and a note warning you to not enter the place. As you move up, you have to arrange the rings on the doors correctly to open the door. The sequence is there on the Emerald Dragon Claw. Then use the claw to unlock the door. For the fifth one, you need to have the Ivory Dragon Claw. The solution to the rings on the fifth door is there on the Ivory Dragon Claw. Incorrect arrangement of the fifth door will release poisonous arrows from the wall. Once inside, you will have to face all three bosses that you faced in the earlier quest of retrieving the amulets individually. Go ahead and place the 3 amulets on the 3 plates and the 3 bosses will appear. They will fight one at a time. First one will summon Draugrs to attack you, second one can create clones of himself and shoot arrows from a distance. And the third one will use magic to summon an ice creature. Defeat them all and you will have created the amulet which will give health, stamina and magicka. At the bottom of the pool by the entrance is a locked chest. Be careful with this chest. Make sure you have some water-breathing potions with you, as trying to get back up, after you loot the chest, some areas won't let you come up. And the only way up is by a ramp, but there are also 2 areas to get up though. Go to the farther one, on the other side, to get up again. This doesn't always happen, but it literally shoves you back down, and it's very annoying.
In dragon language, Dovahkiin is a combination of the words Dova, meaning dragon, and Kin, meaning born, or child, which is typically translated to dragonborn, but it can also be translated to dragon child. Dovahkiin also has a second meaning. The dove in Dova refers to dragonkind as a whole, while the means hunter. Interpreted thus, the name reads, Dragonkind Hunter Born, or Born Hunter of Dragonkind, an appropriate description of what the dragonborn is destined to do. Something of further interest is that dragons use the term Dovahkiin as a proper noun to address or talk about the dragonborn, and the dragon naming convention holds that names consist of 3 words. When called upon by the Greybeards, after killing Mamona, Dov or Kin is stressed as 3 separate words. This could signal that the real translation of Dov or Kin is Born Hunter of Dragonkind, when the traditional naming convention of dragons is held. The appearance of the last dragonborn was prophesied upon Elduin's Wall, a large edifice found within Skyhaven Temple. It depicts several events that would preface the return of the Nordic god of destruction, Elduin.
The prophecy itself is dire, but scholars believe that its omens had been fulfilled and that a single individual, gifted with the same powers of the Thu'um held by the dragons themselves, may rise to fight against Alduin and assure Nirn's survival. Alduin finally returned in 4E201, during the midst of Skyrim's civil war. Raising an army of dragons from the dead, he attempted to resume his path of destruction. However, he was eventually defeated in a battle by the last Dragonborn and 3 ancient Nordic heroes in Sovgard. Much like previous Dragonborn individuals who existed throughout history, such as Riman Cyrodiil, Tiber Septim, and Mirak, the last Dragonborn has the ability to consume a slain dragon's soul and absorb its knowledge and power, allowing them to learn words of power almost instantaneously, though reportedly neither Riman nor Tiber have ever killed a dragon and absorbed its soul. It is said that the Blades have always guided, protected, and served the Dragonborn, whom they consider the ultimate dragon slayer. Dragonborn, also referred to as Dovahkiin in the dragon language, are individuals with the body of a mortal, but the blood and soul of a dragon. Some believe that Dragonborn appear on the world in times of great need by the command of the gods. Dragons have the inborn ability to learn and project their voice. Dragons also are able to absorb the power of their slain brethren. A few mortals are born with similar abilities. Whether a gift or a curse has been a matter of debate down through the centuries. What you have already learned in a few days took even the most gifted of us years to achieve. Some believe that Dragonborn are sent into the world by the gods, at times of great need. Angay.
By Nord tradition, a Dragonborn represents what a Nord should strive to be. The Nords believe Dragonborn represent the end of all of Skyrim's foes. Nord tales likewise tell of Dragonborn of old who were great and powerful dragon slayers, a belief which the Blades of the late 4th era also believed to be the reason why the old Kaveri Dragonborn came to serve the Dragonborn. It is unknown as to how a Dragonborn is chosen. The various dynasties of Dragonborn emperors led to a common belief that the dragon blood is hereditary, though since it is a blessing of Akatosh himself it cannot be known how or why it is bestowed. It is unknown if the Dragonborn emperors were Dragonborn, and thus able to wear the amulet of kings and light the dragon fires, or if these acts were the sign of Akatosh's blessings for these individuals Dragonborn.
After slaying a dragon, and learning the meaning of a word of power, the Greybeards are able to sense this and summon the Dragonborn. Should a Dragonborn choose to answer the summons of the Greybeards, they are first tested to see if they truly possess the TM. A Dragonborn has the inborn ability to both learn and master a new word of power far quicker than a normal mortal can, as regular mortals usually need years of training to learn a word of power. Due to the inborn ability of Dragonborn to use the TM, the Greybeards seek to guide them in the proper usage of their power. In order to truly show a Dragonborn's abilities, the Greybeards send them off to retrieve the horn of Jurgen Windcaller, the founder of the Greybeards. Upon retrieving the horn and returning it, the Greybeards formally name the Dragonborn, the Dragon of the North, to declare the Dragonborn has accepted their guidance. Ysmir Wilfhart was also referred to as Dragon of the North, though he was not actually the Dragonborn. Ysmir himself believed himself to be the chosen one of prophecy due to his resurrection to Tamriel caused by the rumbling shout of the Greybeard summoning of the true Dragonborn. Ysmir goes to High Hrothgar where he is blasted to ash once more when the Greybeards speak, thus confirming he is not the chosen one. However, Hjalti Earlybeard goes on to claim his rightful title of Dragonborn after his legendary victory at the Battle of Old Holdan. After this victory the Nords began to call him by Talos or Stormcrown, and he would later go on to become Tiber Septim, the first emperor of Tamriel. Miraak, who lived during the Dragon War of the Merethic era, became known as the first Dragonborn. The Three Tongues, Hakon One Eye, Gormlaith Golden Hilt, and Veldir the Old, who led the charge against Alduin, had asked Miraak for his aid, though Miraak denied, having other plans. Miraak would eventually be defeated in combat by Valok the Jailer, though saved by Hermaeus Mora.
During the First Era, the Nedic slave rebellion in Cyrodiil against the Aeliads would take place, being led by slave Queen Alessia. Alessia, being a dragonborn, was gifted the Amulet of Kings by Akatosh, which would be used to light the dragon fires and keep the armies of Oblivion at bay. Alessia's line would continue with more dragonborn emperors and empresses until their deaths. In 2703, the Okoveri attempted an invasion of Tamriel, which would eventually be foiled by the efforts of Riman Cyrodiil. The exact nature of the defeat of the Okoveri is unknown, though it is known that they were not seeking for combat with Riman, but were instead searching for him, as he was dragonborn. Under Riman Cyrodiil, the dragon blood officially became part of becoming a legitimate emperor, as he included the ritual heirs to the Amulet of Kings and the lighting of the dragon fires in the rites of becoming an emperor. His dynasty would continue until the death of Julek Cyrodiil during the Fourscore War. As of 2E579, it had been years since the last dragonborn emperor had ruled. Following his successful rebellion against the Longhouse emperors, Vran Aquilarius aimed to legitimize his rule through lighting the dragon fires. Vran was not a dragonborn and was convinced by Manimako to participate in a ritual which would end up being a trick. Instead of becoming a dragonborn, Vran and his companions were forced to the ground, while Manimako corrupted the power of the Amulet of Kings to trigger the soul burst and eventually plane meld until it was stopped by the vestige.
After Kalgrontiid and his kin were freed from the halls of Colossus, one such dragon named Sarotnax was captured by the Holofang clan of vampires with the assistance of the Rouge Dragon Guard Grandwolf, who then proceeded to drink his blood, believing it would make him dragonborn, and with that power unite the fractured empire once more. Though the ritual granted him extraordinary abilities, he was slain shortly afterward. Years later, in 2828, another dragonborn would be placed on the world. This dragonborn being Tiber Septim. Tiber Septim would learn the Film from Wolfhalf, and meet the Greybeards shortly after, who told him he was destined to unite Tamriel. During his campaigns in Cyrodiil, he would find the Amulet of Kings during the Battle of Sankor against the Nord-Breton Alliance. After having become emperor, Tiber Septim declared the start of the Third Era.
Tiber Septim's dynasty of Dragonborn emperors would continue to rule the Third Empire until the Oblivion Crisis. Under the reign of Emperor Uriel Septim VII, the Mythic Dawn attempted to slay the Dragonborn emperors and thus provide Mehrunes Dagon with the means to cross over into Tamriel. Uriel Septim and his 3 sons were assassinated, with only his illegitimate son, Martin Septim, having survived. The leader of the Mythic Dawn cult, Mankar Camoran, was likewise a Dragonborn, able to speak fire and wear the Amulet of Kings. Mankar would eventually be slain in his paradise, whereas Martin Septim would meet his end after he destroyed the Amulet of Kings in order to banish Mehrunes Dagon. During 4E201, the prophecy of the last Dragonborn would come to pass. Alduin, who had been banished from Tamriel since the Merethic era by an Elder Scroll, returned to the land, indirectly helping the last Dragonborn to escape an imperial execution at Helgen by destroying the town. The last Dragonborn would learn of their nature while aiding the city of Whiterun by slaying the dragon Mermalnir at the western watchtower of Whiterun. Upon defeating the Dragonborn gained its soul, and through the word of power that the Dragonborn had learned previously in a mission of the court wizard, was able to use the Tuum.
At the beginning of Skyrim, 7 AM of the 17th of last seed 4E201, the Dragonborn is a prisoner, who had been captured by members of the Imperial Legion, after crossing the border from Cyrodiil. While being transported to the settlement of Helgen, the Dragonborn discovers that Ulfric Stormcloak, the leader of the Stormcloak Rebellion, is a fellow prisoner. Upon reaching Helgen, the local Imperial captain sentences all the prisoners to death. Seconds before the Dragonborn's execution, Alduin attacks, providing a chance for escape. Regardless of race, the Dragonborn starts with both flames and healing spells, indicating that they studied the arcane arts before traveling to Skyrim. After learning Dragonrend, the last Dragonborn was able to face off against Alduin atop the throat of the world, winning a minor victory against the World Eater, though Alduin did escape to Sovgard. The Dragonborn would give chase, and through the help of Odeviing, they would gain access to Skuldafn and its portal to Sovgard. In Sovgard, the last Dragonborn would meet up with the 3 Nord tongues of old, Gormlaith, Haken, and Feldir, and together they faced off against Alduin, defeating him in combat. It is unknown if Alduin was truly slain, as in contrast to regular dragons, his soul was not absorbed. The leader of the Greybeards, Arngay, believed that it may have been possible that he could return to fulfill his true destiny, though that was for the gods to decide.